listening to the Real Elevation podcast. I'm your host, Mike Hendricks, and here we discuss topics on personal fitness, well-being, and elevation of mind and body. Join us as we help build and grow a community of real, elevated men and women. If you're currently feeling frustrated, flat, and fed up with life, or want to be a physically and mentally elevated individual, you're invited to join us each and every week here on the Real Elevation podcast. Welcome to the RE family and get ready to elevate your mind and body. Welcome back to the Real Elevation podcast. I am your host, Mike Hendricks, and today we have another outstanding, informative, and elevating show for you. I'd like to welcome all first-time listeners to the podcast, and be sure to stay to the end where I'll be sharing all my social media links as we continue to grow the Real Elevation podcast community. You can connect with us via those links. Thank you. I'm excited to be back here again, sharing part 2 of my journey with you. Now, if you haven't listened to part 1 yet of Mike's message, my journey so far, I'd encourage you to go back and check it out. I talked about my early struggles, I talked about my frustration, my fears, and how life has been, like for many people, a big lesson and continues to be today. Today's story, I'm going to go a little bit deeper. In this part 2, I'm going to be sharing a pivotal moment that really shook me to the core and really helped me to see and amplify the importance of life and how life can be fragile. And it helped me just really focus and really fuel me towards where I'm going and continuing on this path today. I'll also share with you how I opened my own fitness studio and many other insights that you may not know about me. So it's an opportunity to get to know Mike a little bit about my background. Now, this story matters because it's part of my journey. It's not just about fitness. It's about learning, it's about resilience, it's about purpose, and it's about making the most in the time that we're given here. So, like many people, life throws you some curveballs sometimes, but you'll see through these stories, and this is what the underlying message of Mike's message is regardless of your current situation or circumstances, with the right support, you can make it through those tough times. So, I mentioned last time when I got to around about the age of 34, 35, and I wasn't really doing a huge amount with my life, kind of just drifting off. As I said, if you've not listened to part 1, go back and check it out. But at 35 my life took a real big hit, and it was when I lost my best friend, one of my best friends. But it wasn't just any old loss, it was a loss to knife crime. Lost him to murder. It's one of the moments that hits you like a freight train. When I found this out, it was, as you can imagine, devastating. You know, we'd done many things together. I mentioned about, me getting involved in certain things that I shouldn't have got involved with, but, he was part of that. But we grew a really strong brotherhood, a kinship, a friendship. So even though he was living in London at the time and I was still here in Leeds, it was very difficult and it was hard for me to kind of put it all together when you hear some news like that and, kind of make sense of it, really. It's really, really tough. And losing someone like that close to you, it forces you to confront and see how life can be harsh, how life can be unpredictable, and how life can be short. 36, 37, as he was, is no age to die. But it was a wake-up call for me, reminding me that none of us are promised tomorrow. And, you may have been in a similar situation where you've lost someone close, and it is a bit of a reminder that tomorrow is never promised. And I've realised that at that time I wasn't really doing anything. I've been playing it safe, just drifting, waffling along, staying comfortable, and not really thinking about how I could really impact and help other people that could share in my understanding and knowledge about fitness and well-being. And that's when I started shifting, and that's when I decided that I was going to stop wasting time, stop messing around, just start being a little bit more focused and really have a little bit of purpose in my life. Now, my passion was fitness and always has been fitness and sport and being competitive physically. And I wanted to help people. Now, I went back as I was at the time doing management, out of management, going into personal training, and I had this desire to open my own fitness studio. And it was a good friend of mine I share with many stories with today, a friend called Tony. He took me down to a Bob Proctor, the late Bob Proctor now, one of his seminars that he was doing in London. And it was at that point when we went down to this weekend seminar, and Bob Proctor, if you've not heard of him, look him up. He's a motivational speaker talking about how you can really be the captain of your own ship, master your own destiny. And he was talking about some principles and things that we put into place. So he was a real inspirational figure. As I say, go check him out. I'll leave some links in the show notes. And it was from that talk where I said, right, I'm going to quit this job. I'm going to open my own studio. I didn't have a clue what I was doing, but that's what I was going to do. And that's what I felt was the vehicle that was going to help me to help more people get fit, opening my own fitness studio. And to this day, I don't know how I did it because I didn't have any capital, I didn't have any business knowledge, didn't have any business mentor, business experience of opening my own facility. I actually opened my own studio, and it was a big deal. I was so proud of myself. I was so happy. I was very, very over the moon that I'd managed to get myself in a position where I could start inviting people into my own fitness studio. It was a leap of faith, and God's divine hand, he definitely helped me do that. So 36, 37, I opened my own studio, and it was a place where I could invite people in, and it was really rewarding. I really enjoyed helping people experience better quality of life through exercise. I poured everything into it. I worked long hours. I'd get there at 6, wouldn't leave till 9 some days. I trained clients. I built up a community of people, and everything was going, pretty well as I thought. But there were some blind spots which, if I'm being honest with you, I tried to ignore, working in the world of business for the first time. But under all those blind spots, my main focus was on just helping people. But sometimes life has other plans, and as I said, even though they was making quite a bit of money, I wasn't keeping any of that money. I was paying hand over fist bills, paying people that I employed to help deliver certain programs. It was a tough period of time working for myself, not knowing how to, finance and budget. And as a result, after 3 years of working in that studio, pouring everything into it, I had to make that tough decision to close it down. It was hard, because I didn't want to do it, but the reality was that I couldn't continue as I was. I was stressed, I was working long hours. I wasn't basically an advert to the people that I was trying to help. Even though people were coming in, doing Pilates, doing personal training, we're doing fitness classes, I was far from being a model picture of health. So I had to close it down. I felt like I was letting people down, but it was the right thing to do looking back. I couldn't have continued like that with any longevity. It was 3 years that I did enjoy for the most part, but it was a necessary chapter that I had to close down. So I had to pivot, and I went back into doing personal training from another commercial gym after I'd closed my own personal training studio down, and having different conversations. I still had this desire to help people, and one of the ways that I could do that, help more people, was to get into becoming a published author. Now, again, this was something that I had to find a bit of encouragement to do, because I didn't do well, as you can probably recall from listening to part 1 at school. If you haven't listened to that, go back and check it out. I didn't leave with the highest grades, so I always had this narrative at the back of my head: you couldn't be an author, you didn't do well at English. You could be an author, you don't know enough. You couldn't be an author, you're not good enough. This was the narrative that was going on in my head, and you may be able to relate to this. Maybe that's something that you want to do, but you've got this inner voice saying you can't do that. And I was working with a business mentor at the time, business coach specifically, who worked with personal trainers and personal fitness coaches. And he pushed back and asked me the simple question: what has you getting a D in English got to do with you writing a book right now? That was a very question he put on my doorstep. And when I analysed that question, he was absolutely right. It was nothing. It had nothing to do with it. It was just a story that I had in my head that I was buying into. I was, saying, oh, it had some kudos, it had some gravitas, it had some meaning, but the reality is it didn't really have any meaning. That was just a narrative that I was buying into, and he said, stop buying into that, go and write your own book. And that's what I did. After the studio closed, obviously working with this coach for a period of time, I channeled my energy into writing my first book. I wanted to take the concepts, some of the principles that I'd learned over the years, and put it into a little package, so regardless of where you are in the world, you could access it. And that's exactly what I did. I poured my knowledge and experience and passion into that first book. Now, if I'm being honest, was it very good? Probably not. I think you can still buy it on Amazon today, but I'm not going to direct you to it. But it was a start, and if you don't start, you're never going to reach your destination. So I'm proud to say now that I'm actually a 2-time author, because that was the step to my second book, which, again, I received help from a writer, a publisher. Didn't do it all by myself this time, and the quality of the book was way, way, way much better. If you see the two books side by side, you'll see that. And you see the content of the book and the way the book was put together. And that was because I sought expert help, and there's 2 lessons that I've learned there. Speaking to people who may not have the same view of you, but can encourage you to maybe change your current way of thinking, and working with people that can often save you time from their expertise and their experience is also a great lesson as well. So I wrote my second book, and it was much better quality. And as a result, it sold more copies as well, which obviously kind of makes sense. Now, whilst all of this was happening, life was evolving in another beautiful way. So even though I was going through some challenging times, I obviously closed the studio after 3 years. I did meet my then girlfriend at the time, Natalie, who is now my wife. Again, she was someone who I believe was sent to me via God's insight and wisdom to support me for a difficult, challenging time, because I don't think I could have done the studio close to the same level without that same level of support that she offered. And as I say, we got married. We now have 2 beautiful children, Hugo and Corinne, who are here with us on our journey through life. And I'm blessed to have this incredible woman and these now 4 amazing children who inspire me every single day. Yes, you'll hear me often talking about them, how they can bring challenges and difficult times, but overall, they are here and we're working through life together. So being a husband and a father has really deepened my understanding of why health and looking after yourself is very important. And that brings me up to, this present day. You have to invest in yourself, and you have to get support, and you have to get the right people around you. That's what life has taught me so far, because all these stories all involve other people. Yes, the story is about me, but as you've seen, there have been people that have come into my life, whether it's been for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, to offer Mike support as he continues on his journey. And this is why I have this real passion about helping people find freedom through fitness, because I've seen personally firsthand how when you're fit, healthy and well, when you're strong, you have the right team around you, whether that's family, friends, or a coach, or a mentor, or a trainer, whoever it is, rooting in your corner, you can turn the most bleak situations around. And that's why I'm sharing this message with you, to show you, despite what you may be feeling at the moment, what you may be thinking currently about your current situation, circumstance, or your ability, or your lack of ability at the moment, whatever it may be, you can change. If you have the desire, you want to level up, upskill, upgrade your quality of life, you can do it with the right support, with the right help. And that's one of the reasons why I built my coaching programs, the CBAS system, the Core Build Accelerator system, and the Real Rejuvenation one-to-one coaching program. So this is my story. This is my journey through life so far. And I'm sure that certain parts will be relatable to you, certain parts may resonate with you, and certain parts you'll have found quite humorous, quite funny. There are many different stories. I've really condensed it down because, as you know, in podcasts, I like to keep them quite concise and short. And maybe one day I'll do the full, unedited, warts and all, 4-hour story of Mike and his journey. Who knows? May even make a film. You know, I'm sure it'd make a great film. But my point being is, you are here on this earth for a purpose. Now, you may not know what that purpose is, but I believe, like myself, you have to find that purpose. My purpose is to help people feel better. I feel that freedom, and I believe that vehicle, finding freedom through fitness. Now, if my story resonates with you and you're ready to make that first step towards transforming your body and life and really finding your own freedom through fitness, upgrading your knowledge about self, I'd like to invite you to have a conversation with myself. You can check out the Real Rejuvenation one-to-one online coaching program, a program designed specifically for men and women over the age of 45 who want to regain control of their health, improve their performance and productivity without spending all day in the gym and following crash diets. Now, if that sounds like something that would interest you, I'd love to have a conversation. I'm going to leave a link in the show notes where you can, in your own time, fill out the form. We'll arrange a time to speak about you, where you are in your journey, and how we can get you moving forward towards finding freedom through fitness and upgrading, upskilling your personal performance and well-being, so you can live a long, vital, energized life. Now, I want to say again, real big thank you to all the listeners of the Real Elevation podcast. Thank you for joining me on part 2 and listening to Mike's message, my journey so far. I hope you found it inspiring, and I trust you found it insightful and entertaining as well. And again, remember, if you would be so kind as you have continued to do, leave us a 5-star review and share it with your connection and your circle of influence. The more people hear about the Real Elevation podcast, the more people can hear about Mike's message, my journey so far, and all the great things that we're doing over here. And it's real big thank you for doing that. So until next time, remember, be well, be wise, be cool, be calm. Blessings and chi. Peace.